Glendale Addition to create Glendale Addition Number 2, comprising 14,955 square feet more or less, located at 1302 and 1308 South Lowell Street. Do we have a staff report?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Grant Marsh has applied for a vacation and replat, creating the Glendale Addition Number 2. The subject property is currently platted as 3 lots totaling approximately 14,995 square feet in area and is occupied by 2 multifamily residential structures. The proposed subdivision will consolidate the 3 lots into 2 newly configured lots, each approximately 7,500 square feet in size. The properties are zoned R3, 1 to 4 unit residential, and the minimum lot size for a 4-unit multifamily structure in the R3 district is 6,000 square feet. Madam Chair, we have no recommended conditions for this case. We have no written public comments, and I have 6 exhibits. A is the replat application. B, vicinity map of the 300-foot notification zone. C, copy of the plat. D, legal notice sent to the Star Tribune. E, notice of public hearing sent to property owners within 300 feet. And F, memo to the chairperson and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. And that concludes our report.
I now declare the public hearing open for consideration of case number SUB 19-2021. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, the rules of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals who address the commission to identify yourself and state your address. Would the person representing case number SUB 19-2021 explain the application? I'm sorry, excuse me.
Madam Chairman, for purposes of the record, I would note that Commissioner McIntosh is now here.
Thank you.
And that we now have a full complement of commissioners.
Thank you. Yes.
Commissioners, I'm Dennis Langdon, 770 West Collins here in Casper, Wyoming. I represent Grant Marsh. I'm also buying the property. To have this properly split properly, where the lots are splitting over the top of the complexes, I'm splitting the lots properly for the city, period.
Do we have any questions from the commission?
I have one. Is the whole idea of this to sell there's two fourplexes up there now.
Correct.
Why are you doing this? Just to make it more of a sellable project? Those 2 fourplexes?
I'm buying from Grant Marsh.
Uh-huh.
And as you saw, there were 3 lots, but the buildings are sitting on part of the lot split. I'm making it where it should be properly done.
Mm-hmm. How did it end up being 3 lots to begin with 2 buildings on it? That's what I can't understand. But I can't understand that. Can you explain that, Craig?
It's a fairly common occurrence, Madam Chair. The lots were obviously there before the building was there, and in a multifamily zoning district, you can have multiple dwelling units on a single lot. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have
Oh, yes, Commissioner
one
Bates.
question, and maybe I missed it, and I apologize if I did. You bought the lots, or you're buying the lots?
Buying the property, both fourplexes.
So how does that work if he's buying them, but he does not own them? He's asking for it to be rezoned.
Marsh.
Oh, okay, that's the part I missed.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay, I apologize, gotcha.
Thank you. As required by state law, we have to invite people to comment in favor of or in opposition to all public hearings. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of case SUB 19-2021? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to case sub 19-2021? There being no others to speak for or against, I now declare the public hearing closed and entertain a motion to approve and forward a due pass recommendation to the City Council, deny or table case number SUB 19-2021, the replat.
Madam Chairman, I would move to approve and recommend a due pass to the council.
Thank you. We have a motion. Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Feth, a second by Commissioner Wingeter. Do we have any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would just say, this seems to be logical.
Yes.
Let's make it right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's vote. Commissioner Winger? Vote.
With all members voting aye, the motion passes.
Okay, we'll move on to the next one. ZOC 10-2021, which is a petition for a zone change of the Back 9 Addition Planned Unit Development. All properties being located north of West 29th Street. Said zone change will amend the zoning classifications of the subdivision from PUD as follows, with the addresses on Palmer and Player, and the tract F, which is the southeast corner of Casper Mountain Road. The balance of the subdivision would be R2. Do we have a staff report?
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I just wanted to note that the online link to the packet has been updated with respect to this case to include the additional public comments that were received after the completion of the staff report last Friday, as well as a supplemental staff report. And the purpose of the supplemental staff report is to provide further information to the Commission based on questions and concerns that staff has been receiving. Additionally, more comments were received today that have not been uploaded, and hard copies of those comments have been provided to the Commission. You should all have those at your chairs. So now on to the summary of the case. The city has received a request to change the zoning classification of the Back 9 addition from planned unit development to R2, R3, and C2 general business. The area involved in this zone change is 44.5 acres, more or less, is partially developed and is regulated under a PUD plan that was approved in 2011. The original design of this PUD was for the construction of 78 twin homes, 4 detached single-family residential structures, and 2 commercial office buildings. The primary impetus behind this request is to allow the applicants to construct standard single-family homes rather than twin homes that were originally envisioned. The proposed R3 zoning is meant to accommodate the twin homes that have already been constructed. The C2 zoning is meant to accommodate the existing office building located adjacent to Casper Mountain Road, as well as allow for the construction of a second office building on the empty portion of the same lot, just north of the existing building. Both office buildings, existing and future, are allowed by right under the current PUD zoning. This case is a good illustration of one of the primary reasons that PUD zoning classification has fallen out of favor with the development community. In recent years, the Commission has seen multiple zoning requests intended to unravel and dissolve PUDs. The city has customarily been supportive of the developer's wishes to move away from PUDs whenever the chance has presented itself, seeing the PUD classification is largely ineffective in achieving its stated purpose and as a somewhat antiquated zoning concept or tool. In recent years, the city has been incrementally amending its traditional zoning regulations to build in additional flexibility and to negate the need for the PUD zoning classification. It's ironic that the PUD zoning classification, although originally intended to provide maximum flexibility in both site design and allowable land uses, is now seen as an impediment to development as compared to standard zoning. Staff's written reports provide important details as to how the proposed zoning change meshes with the policies and guidelines of the comprehensive land use plan. In addition, the reports go into detail about the types of land uses that are allowed in the proposed zoning districts, the size and scope of the area proposed for the C2 zoning, and also provides information on development concepts such as spot zoning and buffering. As the Commission progresses through its review tonight, we would expect a robust discussion and would encourage those present as well as the Commission to ask as many questions as possible. With that, I will enter 16 exhibits into the legal record. A is the petition for a zone change. B, vicinity map of the 300-foot notification zone. C, public notice sent to the Star Tribune. D, notice of public hearing sent to property owners within 300 feet. E, public comment from 2838 Hogan Drive. F, public comment from 114 East 27th Street. G, public comment from 2936 Player Drive. H, public comment from 2802 Hogan Drive. I, public comment from 2840 Nicholas Drive. J, public comment from 2960 Player Drive. K, public comment from 2925 Palmer Drive. L, public comment from 2814 Hogan Drive. M, public comment from 2816 Nicholas Drive. N, public comment from 2936 Player Drive. O, public comment from 2839 Hogan Drive. And finally, P, memo to the chairperson and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. That concludes our report.
Yes.
Madam Chairman, I need to find out if the exhibits that you guys received tonight or the correspondence that you received tonight that was added are part of the exhibit list, and if not, get those added. They are, thank you very much.
Did you indicate also that we received the information regarding the 23 signed things that said they were okay with the change that are part of the packet?
The 23, we can certainly add things.
Well, those were the signed forms from the people who the developer.
That was the, I considered that part of the application.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I now declare the public hearing open for consideration of case ZLC 10-2021. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, the rules of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals who address the commission to identify yourself and state your address. Would the person representing case number ZLC 10-2021 explain the application?
Hi, I'm Colby Frontier. I live at 1231 30th Street. Thanks for having me today. My wife Jennifer and I are here as the owners of Tract F of the Back 9 subdivision. I just have a little bit of some information for you regarding this case. Before I start, I'd like to ask for a chance to comment at the end of the public comment period to address some of the rebuttals that you may hear.
Okay.
From the perspective of a landowner in the Back 9 subdivision, the rezone and update vacating the PUD is a benefit to the neighborhood, and it reduces the number of occupants by a significant margin based on the 24 twin homes, 48 actual residences that would be going in under the PUD, down to 24 single-family dwellings. While I'm not the developer, I think Doug's here. I'll let him speak to that. I'm just the owner of Tract F, and so I'll speak to Tract F specifically as it relates to the PUD and the vacation of the PUD. The current PUD approved by the city in 2011 states that 2 commercial buildings are approved for Tract F, which we own. All we're doing is erecting the second building that's already been approved. The rezone doesn't impact that necessarily, but it does make good ground on movement toward the Generation Casper FLU plan, which, as servants of this community for over 25 years, we feel grateful to have the opportunity to do. It's in our best interest to see that plan go forward. We've seen other efforts of that happen in the neighborhood. There's a few examples I have. If we have time, I can state those too. The second building we will build is in accordance with the current covenants is for the surrounding area, stucco sides, cultured stone, continuous soffit roof line. You can see a rendering of the building. There was some concern that what we might build may threaten the neighborhood's continuity and traffic structure, safety for the children, et cetera. I can speak to those rebuttals after public comment if you'd like. Sure. The neighbors with concerns, mainly one in particular actually, who doesn't live in the subdivision but has been around helping people see his side of the story, which actually has been very helpful to help me learn some of the responsibility of me as a landowner in the area to be transparent with my goals and my direction for the land as the only commercial property piece that's been approved in the current PUD and as the only current C2 business plat that will go in after the vacated PUD. So I crafted these 2 images with the rendering in accordance with the document that we put together for you and for the neighbors, and then I wrote a little letter and I went around and I knocked on the doors just like a Girl Scout cookie salesman and had conversations with the neighbors and heard the concerns, and honestly they were very positive. I talked directly to the people who wrote letters of concern, and after our conversations the outcome was really quite nice. I think their concerns are fair and should be heard, while at the same time I know they don't directly live in the subdivision, most of the complaints, but I think they're fair, and I think it's easy to assuage those concerns with a truthful statement about what we're building. There's concerns of convenience stores and liquor stores and things like that. We don't have any intention of doing that. The rendering of the building houses our business, an insurance agent, and an acupuncturist, all that aim to serve the neighborhood. I wanted to look a little bit further into the FLU. The goals set forth in Tract F under the C2 zoning align with the Generation Casper FLU that was the year-long process where public comment and all that was generated. I don't need to tell you about your own document. I'm grateful for it, but I don't need to tell you about it. Chapter 4 of the FLU states the primary use of the neighborhood 3, which is what the PUD would turn into. Its neighborhood 3 classification. For attached single-family and multifamily dwellings include duplexes, townhomes, and other similar types of dwelling at higher densities, which actually doesn't apply to me. The last sentence does, small format office and community uses. You're going to hear concerns surrounding traffic and property value and speed limits and child safety, and I'm prepared to speak to those. What I would like to speak to on the higher end of things is that it's my understanding and belief that the committee and commissioners stay true to the goals of the Generation Casper Comprehensive Future Land Use Plan and let those documents be the decision-making beacon for the zoning request. I'm thankful that this document exists as it helps remove personal agendas from the equation. And while I have a personal agenda too, which is to rezone it to C2, the back 9 PUD, if it goes away, it aligns better with the FLU than any personal agenda. And I'm happy to make that ground above my own agenda. I think it matches the comprehensive use plan better than it would as a PUD. And that matters more to me as a community member than having C2, because frankly, the C2 doesn't change the nature of the parcel as the other 2 buildings are already approved. So I just feel like it's the right thing to do. I think it's a good choice, and I ask for your approval in that.
Do we have any questions from the commissioners? I have a question.
Yeah.
So the lot that you're talking about, the only lot you're talking about zoning C2 is the one that presently has a commercial building on it?
Yes, ma'am.
You're not talking about any C2 anywhere else in that subdivision, just that lot? And the only other building you're talking about putting on is the one that you presently have a rendering on the screen,
Yes,
correct?
Mr. Collins, will you pull up the PUD overhead map, please, of the platting for that area? Yeah, and if you can zoom in on Tract F, I don't know if you can or not, but.
Not on PowerPoint, sorry.
Oh, no, it's good.
It's the upper left-hand.
So in the upper left, you can see the current building that's built, and then just to the north, you see the other building that the city approved. That's the one we're building.
And that's going to happen whether the PUD gets banished and we come in with the new zoning or not. The C2 is still the same in that area.
Yes, ma'am. And,
So-
on that, right there in the notes on item 7, it says Tract F to be reserved for commercial use.
Right, okay,
Thank you for asking.
yes.
Any other questions?
Madam Chair, I did have one question. Is there a homeowners association up in that area?
No, sir. There are covenants in place, and to my understanding, they're enforced, and Dan can speak to the covenants pretty well. I think they're pretty fair covenants, but I don't think there's
No homeowners, HOA.
Right.
Just a point of clarification with staff is that you said that they will be part of Neighborhood 3 as far as the comprehensive land use plan goes, but they are currently part of Neighborhood 3.
Correct.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Correct, you're absolutely correct.
Any additional questions? So the only other option besides the rezoning would be the amendment of the PUD agreement, right? Which is a rather lengthy and drawn-out process, is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know the process of if it would need an amendment or not, since the building's already approved under the PUD.
But you only own the one lot, the commercial lot.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're okay if it stays a PUD or if it goes to the new zoning? Regardless, you can still put your building on there, is that correct?
That's correct. While at the same time, I do have a small incentive for the rezone in that it would lower the population density of that area to single-family dwellings. And I think that's a benefit for the area and stays more congruent to the 9 Iron estates. I think that would be a benefit to the neighborhood. So I do have some, you know, persuasive interest, I guess, if I could be so transparent, that it would benefit, but it doesn't change the outcome for us, objectively speaking.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. Thank you. As required by state law, we have to invite people to comment in favor of or in opposition to all public hearings. And keep in mind that when you come to speak, we don't want everybody coming up with the same objection, so we'd prefer to just have one person speak to something. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of case number ZOC 10-2021?
Commissioners, I'm Dennis Langdon again, 770 West Collins, Casper, Wyoming. I represent Trimax. This is Delania Witt. She is the owner of record, not Doug Tilley. Okay?
That's my brother, and we've chosen to bring me as representative. Good evening.
Hi.
I started this process. This was gifted to me from Richard Becker, who is my stepdad. The property that we're wanting to change in the back nine from from PUD to R3 and R2. And it was gifted to me. I met with Craig, and he told me that if I wanted to change it to single family instead of twin homes, which was my choice to do, it's really expensive to build twin homes. And I wanted to make the actual horseshoe single family, and he said that I had to get 100% approval. So I started that process. I went door to door and told people what I was wanting to do. We got stalled out, and then I did complete the signatures to get us to this point. I don't own the parcel that Colby owns. I've never owned that. That was Richard Becker's parcel. Mine is the rest of the twin home area on Palmer Streets, and it wraps around in a horseshoe and ends back up at Hogan. Directly across from Colby's, I actually own the piece across from there. And so this has all been a process just to try to get it to not be the original proposal of all twin homes. I was wanting to get a developer or someone interested in the property. I'm not able to build the twin homes or afford that. I have Dennis Langdon as my representative. I'm kind of a fish out of water with most of the legal stuff here. I can answer any questions and do my best for you. Thank you for listening to me.
Do we have any questions from the commission?
Chairman, may I add more some stuff?
You may.
Chairman, Commissioners, one of the big things right now is because I'm a small developer for the last 18 years, I've listened to the administration here for the last 18 years. From the PUD, worked with them, get things changed to make it more neighborhood friendly. In a PUD, I could go in as a multifamily developer, which I am, and do a lot of different things in the PUD. In this, it helps the owner, it helps the neighborhood. R3, R2 zoning. Because we've only got, basically, according to what we've got right here, we have a C2, but it's only limited, that aspect. I live in an area on the east side that is residential and has the growth and the desirability is right behind the car dealerships. So that's not hindering our development and our values, called Park Place. So with that in mind, I'm in favor of making sure this gets all done properly, because when it comes to value, after 42 years in this business, I think I know a little bit about what's going on.
Do we have any questions?
When was the last twin home built?
About 4 years ago, about the time that I was given the land.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, so because it was in PUD and we wanted to get it out of PUD.
You didn't move forward with the,
Correct, so
okay.
that's kind of been where we've stopped out, is trying to, kind of honor that we're not gonna change anything or do anything until we change this to a neighborhood that's R3 and R2 instead of the PUD. We, I've listened and learned more about what PUD means, and feel that it's not a good fit for that area. They're beautiful homes in there. It's a beautiful neighborhood. And so, I threw myself really into this process of trying to get this done as a benefit, really a benefit for the neighborhood.
So when you're doing the single-family homes, one person can come in and buy the lot and build their home, but when you do a twin home, you have to build them first, because you don't normally have two people come in and want to build a twin home, or two families?
Well,
How does that,
Contractor, Madam Chairman, contractor comes in, basically can do a twin home as a spec. Yes, it's more difficult to have two owners agree. That's why having a single family, you can have one that agrees on with his contractor. That is correct.
so each lot that was going to have a twin home, now you're proposing it's going to have a single home?
But the lots will be made bigger for the single family. So it's redesigned
Okay.
so that it's not little tiny houses crammed into that.
And once again, how many houses are you, you're going from how many twin homes to how many single homes?
Approximately about 24 presently, but the rest of it is undeveloped. We have 8 right now that are already ready to go, turnkey, for a contractor to come in and purchase and start. And the rest of it is a time for somebody to purchase it with the guidelines of what you have already basically, depends on the zoning, what we can do. So it could be, if it's R3 to that line, down the towards the end, and then R2 on the other portion. But keep it.
So you're suggesting the R3 would be over where the twin homes presently are?
That's correct.
And the R2 would be in the area where you had originally planned the twin homes, but now you want to go with a single-family home?
Correct.
Instead of 48.
So we're not going to have an R2, R3 zoning together? So you won't be able to go in and say, okay, well, now I'm going to put a fourplex in here?
Correct.
So you're only zoning the R3 where it's already,
It has to be
okay,
to incorporate what's already been built.
okay. Thank you.
So, Madam Chair, you're actually just switching it around. R3 to R2.
No,
I mean,
no.
those twin homes that you have up there now, are they somewhat, the picture I saw of those twin homes are almost alike what you have up there now, right?
Right, correct.
Yeah, there's
In the-
already so many built, Player Street and Palmer Street. So there's several twin homes already built, and the only way to get the PUD out would, as I understand it, is that you have to put those in R3 because there's already twin homes built.
Right.
And that's the only way to incorporate that. So that's why we want that section to be R3. Then when you wrap around the horseshoe shape, that would change to R2 for
Okay.
single-family dwellings.
I understand. Thank you.
Jerry, we're working within the administration to make everybody happy to this point.
I understand. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I have a
Commissioner
question,
Davis?
sir. Did you construct the streets that's already in existence? Did you construct those or hire them done?
Mr. Baker did that, correct?
Do you know the specifications he constructed them to? What the subbase is and what the layers of asphalt are?
We have no clue.
You have no clue. Thank you.
I'm assuming he followed the guidelines the city has given him.
Any other questions? Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of case number ZOC 10-2021?
Hello, my My name is Randy Farley. I live at 2714 Hogan Drive, which is in the Nine Irons Estate, which is directly to the north of the Back Nine subdivision. I've lived there since January 3rd of 2011. To my understanding, I'd probably be one of the longest living residents within that subdivision to see the most change from where it originally existed. I was a year and a half short of the original development starting up there. Mr. Tilley did buy the house that I live in. He did a great job. The construction up there was very standard, SIPS panel construction, very durable, very rugged for the community. Mr. Becker did change within a little bit of the time frame of when he started that development, and after his wife passed on, he kind of backed away from the development, had a lot of changes, so a lot of the lots have since then been sold out to developers and or real estate agents around the city to represent selling those lots, and a lot of changes took place in that time. So the original covenant, or what was proposed to be an HOA in that subdivision, kind of fell by the wayside. We've seen a lot of changes in the type of construction following that guideline of what was dictated as a covenant. So if you was to go up in the development that exists now, which has nothing to do with the development that they're proposing, which I am highly in favor of, you would see a lot of substandard lines being followed. So the covenant isn't as true as what some may make it out to be. It's supposed to be 2-foot eaves. There's a lot that aren't. What's supposed to be upper family dwellings above ground, 3 houses that exist that way. So it hadn't really changed. I walk the neighborhood every morning at 4 a.m. with my dogs. Most people don't even know I'm up and I'm out. It's a very quiet neighborhood, very loving neighborhood. The development area that's been undeveloped, I've been wanting to see that follow through for years since I moved up there. And I think the changes they're asking for with the R3 would be that stepping stone towards seeing that development take place. Seeing our full neighborhood grow into a full capacity. We've got 3 houses under construction in there. 2 of them just took place within the last 3 weeks of moving in. 1's still under construction. I think that if you was to allow the C2 and to allow the R3 change zoning in that area, we would see our final development of that area with full growth. I don't see either the C2 or the R3 increasing traffic flow to a level that would prohibit our kids from.
Excuse me.
I've known Colby and his wife for numerous years. I am a patient of their clinic. My daughter's a patient of their clinic. I know several friends that use their clinic. They run an outstanding company in treating a lot of people in this community. Looking at the development they're putting in with a real estate agent, or not a real estate, but a insurance agent coming in. The way I use an insurance agent is on the phone. Most everything takes place with what we've seen in the last year with the COVID restrictions and the changes that took place. Everything's done not driving into the parking lot, taking up a lot of space and rushing in and rushing out. Most people get online. They talk to their agent, they bid, they quote, everything's said and done. So I don't see that being an impact. As far as her clinic that she's going to be building there, that's probably 3 patients an hour coming in and out. You take that over an 8-hour day, what, you've got 24 cars coming into the neighborhood. They're all going on the south side of the neighborhood, coming in on the 29th. They're going approximately 200 feet in. They're taking a right there in the parking lot and right back out. So no traffic impact to the neighborhood. So I don't feel that there's going to be any rush of urgency to think that we need to put in a 15-mile-an-hour speed bumps or anything like that into the neighborhood. As far as his question, Mr. Davis, earlier on the streets have held up fairly well. Our city always has the tilt and the movement of the ground, and so you have some settling. There are some spots you're driving on, but try and drive up 2nd Street and go out to the Fire Rock, and you better slow down if you have a sports car, because you're going to hit every single manhole, and it's going to jump the car and change your lanes. So, you know, impact of how much level of tar is put on the road isn't as much as to what the ground underneath is doing and how it's shifting and changing. So we have minimal problems up there, but I just think the R3 will, long-term, when that plot is developed, decrease the number of cars in the neighborhood rather than increase it, because going to a single-family dwelling versus going into the multi-level will reduce the number of plots and the number of people living in there, which is probably beneficial to us. So I appreciate you listening, and I just hope that you see in favor of what would be beneficial towards a small enterprise having an opportunity to own their own business within trying to, rather than going out and seeing Serge Delia and trying to pay his rent increases and stay in business. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else wishing to speak in favor of case number ZOC 10-2021? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to case number PN 20-013? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Hi, thank you.
Hi.
My name's Jennifer Frontiero. We live at 1231 30th Street. Thank you guys for listening to us tonight. We, Colby and I own the property, the abstract that we're looking to rezone, and where I currently lease space is a very similar situation to what we're looking at building. I operate currently out of the Diamond Oil Building, which is in a very, it's a commercially zoned property in a very big area off of Diamond Drive and Goodstein. And so from my experience being in our building, we only treat patients individually, one at a time. We don't have a mass number of people in our clinic, and we are not trying to bring a big group or big population to the neighborhood. Our main goal is, as a Casper resident, born and raised here, moving back to Casper, is to provide a service to the community and a service that could be beneficial also to the neighborhood. So I just thank you guys for considering this and approval of our tract.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of?
Hello, my name is Sona Rummel, 2839 Hogan Drive. So we are directly on the corner of 29th and Hogan. A little bit, I just had a couple questions too, was I wondered if this lady, she said she's the owner, and I was curious why this Doug Tilley then is on here as a representative.
Can I answer to that?
Please.
Doug Tilley is my brother, as well as Kurt Tilley. They're part of Trimax. I am the listed owner in the record. Doug Tilley is the builder that has built many homes up there. He wasn't able to make it tonight, but I'm the actual representative.
Okay, thank you. Also, on that corner then, I think that the amount of traffic from the physical therapy office will be minimal, as was suggested, and the insurance office. Like I said, again, we are right on that corner, and our back deck looks directly into the field, the green space, and toward the mountain and the churches. We recognized when we bought it that it was going to probably be developed someday, that we weren't naive about that. So a couple things that I don't think the traffic from the physical therapy offices would impact that, but the traffic from the residential areas might be if the horseshoe is built. Not that anything needs to be done, except for one concern I have is that Highway 251 Casper Mountain Road, getting in and out of 50 miles an hour right there for both the business, there's the walking path, and then if more houses are built to kind of, and I don't know if that's quite your concern. The other one I would redirect it to that, again, in favor of the business and just more sort of on the fence line. Again, we want the development of that because we appreciate that if there is development, that could only be beneficial for our property if it is done to the scale of the houses that are there now. Meaning that you get to this age, you save your money, you buy this house that you want to live in for the rest of your life, and you only want it to appreciate. So my question would be, is there any way that, which what she proposed, to rezone that with single-family homes, that they could be required to have a certain standard built to them, and I don't even know if that's possible, but a certain standard of quality, restrictions on maybe height, maybe not 2 stories, maybe just how they all are in that sort of area. I don't know if that's something that could be rezoned or clarified before rezoning, before people buy the property. I don't know if that is something, I just wanted to put that thought in somebody's head. I don't know if it's even legit.
Mr. Langdon, would you like to address that?
Madam Chair, I'd be glad to. A lot of subdivisions have a minimum square footage, 1,800. In the past, we've had a lot of developments, whether it's Rocky Eaves or myself, minimum square footage. And with that in mind, right now, there is none at this point. But most of the homes are built, it could be around 1,800, 2,000 minimum square footage. We could put that into the covenants as basically as a protective motion. Does that answer your question?
And it's again with stories and everything, if it's a 2 or 3 story home, that would kind of wreck our.
Well, we would basically look at, because I'll be part of the architectural committee to oversee that.
Okay, so that's not something that needs to be, does it need to be in writing before this all goes through? Should it be, as you said, in the covenant?
Well, that can be.
What's it?
Because by the time we get these rolling, it can be part of it.
I'm sorry, Wallace?
Madam Chairman, I think we are getting a little bit off topic here. We're here for zoning.
Right.
How the houses are built, and conditional zoning in Wyoming is illegal. So every district has to be the same. The regulations can vary from one district to the other, like R1 or R2, but they have to be uniform for each class or kind of building within a district. So the regulations that exist for R1, 2, 3, 4, or any of the other zoning districts apply uniformly across the board. Adding conditions to the zoning application to address that would not be permitted.
Thank you. So that would have to be done by covenants?
Covenant, correct.
Yes.
That is correct. It can't be
By the zoning.
By covenant, that's correct.
But the zoning itself is going to go from R3 in that, well, yeah, R3 in the area where they've got twin homes.
Right.
To R2, which is going to be single-family homes and bigger lots.
Correct.
So you're usually not going to put a small house on a big lot because you can't afford the big lot and a small house. Well, maybe that's all you can afford after you pay for the lot.
Yeah, there won't be any mobile homes on it.
Okay, good choice.
But to clarify, there's no restrictions as of now, is that correct?
That's correct.
So they can build anything they want?
Within reason. Correct.
And that's all.
Oh, excuse me. Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of case number ZOC 10-2021? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to case number PN 20-013Z? Why is it a different case number on this one? Okay, so instead, we're going to speak in opposition to case number ZOC 10-2021. Okay.
Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Scott Scavdahl. I live at 2808 Player Drive in the 9 Iron subdivision, not in the back 9, but in the 9 Iron subdivision directly to the north of the proposed changes. A couple of things. First, from a factual basis, the 9 Iron subdivision is developed pursuant to covenants. Those covenants require various restrictions on building height. Ranch-style houses are required. There are 3 houses in the area that have a second level over their garage. That was an issue, but nonetheless, there are 3 that have that. The purpose of that is to maintain a level of sight and a view of Casper Mountain, as well as the Bighorn Mountains. And that is the first concern, factually, that I would be concerned about with any zoning change that would allow C2 development in Tract F. I don't have any doubts as to the current petitioner's request and good faith. But the reality is, as your council has told you, you can't have conditional zoning. You can't say you can go C2, but you can only do X, Y, and Z there. So once you write that check, it is blank. And that is the concern that I have in terms of my property values and that development being changed. In addition to that, we have a residential neighborhood with no recreational facilities within the neighborhood. The only recreational access that we have is the pathway. That pathway requires us to cross that highway. That highway is subject to DOT regulation. You do not have, as I understand under the law and the statutes, the ability to impose upon the city or any other developer, put in a stoplight, put in a crosswalk. We would have to get the Department of Transportation for the state of Wyoming to approve any such device or limitations on speed limit as well. So that is another concern, giving, not only changing the zoning to C2, but also removing some of the recreational and open space that is required under the current PUD. The other component that I see is, and there's Mr. Davis, you talked about it, the current soil in that area is very, very clay. And as a result, we have terrible situations where your snowplows are getting and hitting the manholes quite extensively. And that's a very concern with greater traffic, and particularly on that end of the subdivision where we have the snow and the wind blowing that in there. There has to be a development in such a way as to avoid potential additional complications created by that snow removal. And the city has been very good about that, but it's a problem, and it's one that will continue and only expand and increase. Current uses. The building that is located on Tract F is not currently used for commercial use and has never been used for commercial use. Mr. Becker has used it for his development, and I guess you could call that a commercial use to the extent of that. But it is not currently being utilized, and we're not having business customers coming in and out of there. I think the city required the stucco to be placed on that building at one point in time because it was originally tin. And I think that has occurred. But in terms of current use, this would be a change. Turning to the legal side of this, as I understand the law, and I don't want to pretend that I know everything about zoning, but under Ford versus Board of County Commissioners, 924 P. 2nd 91, use plans and development plans are only allowed to give you guidance as to what you're going to do and restrict developments that are inconsistent with that use and development. It does not amend, nor does it change the zoning law. The zoning law remains in place until amended. So if I submit to you a PUD with a plan of a commercial building on the back 40, and you approve it, that does not approve a zoning change to the extent that that land within the PUD or within that plan is not zoned for commercial use. And to the extent that you would do that, it would be contrary to, I believe, Wyoming statute and case law regarding the ability to only modify use by way of zoning. And the problem is, from a standpoint of just practicality, is that if you allow a PUD to serve as a zoning change for whatever, because you can apply a PUD to R1, R2, R3, C1, C2, it can exist. But the problem is to the extent you would allow the proposed planning and use development plan to serve as an amendment, there would be a lack of notice and opportunity for those people within that area to protest any zoning change. So that's, and in addition, I believe there's some complications because zoning changes are required to go before the city council, and I'm not certain as to the level as to the PUD, but that's something that I cannot say for certain. So I have, and the big problem, and I don't, like I said, I don't doubt the sincerity of the applicants, but the reality is once you make this change, it's a blank check. And it's a blank check that could impact and would impact potentially the values of the properties there, the lives and the current recreational and the quietness of the neighborhood. And for those reasons, I would object to the proposed request to change.
Do we have questions?
I have one. Yes, I was wondering, the area is going to be developed sooner or later. I mean, that's just, you know, as Casper grows, that area is going to be developed. Would the homeowners up there be, if they change the whole development and turn the homes around and the proposed duplexes.
Twin homes.
If they change it around, would the homeowners up there, the ones that are against the project, be happy?
Mr. Wingeter, I can't speak for anyone else. I can only speak for my own interests. And certainly, it would appear to the extent that those were single-family homes that were built in consistency with the existing homes and quality in the neighborhood, I certainly believe that that would not diminish or create the problems in the view corridor restraints that could exist. But there's also, in addition, the recreational and open spaces that exist there that would be lost in terms of amendments.
Are those spaces going to be lost with the twin homes? If they were to go ahead and develop the twin homes, wouldn't those spaces still be lost?
It is my understanding that the development would no longer require the open space obligations that currently exist under the planned unit development. I can be corrected on that. Mr. Langdon or whomever can correct me on that, but that's my understanding.
So the open space is the center of that area right there, is that correct?
There is an indication as to an easement and an area of...
Which is like a big gully if you go over there.
It's an old creek.
Probably unlikely going to build a house in that gully.
That is correct. You know, what's likely or unlikely, I don't know. But the reality is that we would lose what is currently legally obligated to exist for the benefit of the community.
So you would prefer to have the 78 twin homes versus the 24 single-family units?
Well, first let me say that they seem to be selling quite well. But the reality is that if we lose that PUD, we lose some of the recreational benefits that are indicated. And I think that's important. And the quality and the people moving into those twin home developments are very good people. A lot of them retired individuals and good neighbors. But bottom line is under the current proposal, I fear the loss of recreational and open spaces that's required.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Susan Mangus. I am at 2952 Player Drive. I live in one of the twin homes. I think what I'm hearing from the last speaker is that the current way it is now is that there's open space, and the commercial building that is there now was intended only for the use of the builder for his equipment at the time when he was building out the neighborhood. It was not intended to be there for any length of time. It was always intended to be taken down. Somehow, somewhere in it, it was then sold somewhat out of character for what the intended use was to be. If that's a change if Richard's wife passed away and his life changed, where he was going to live changed, what he was going to be doing, he is an owner in our neighborhood. If his life has changed, then, and that building now was sold, it seems uncharacteristic of what he intended that use to be and what he intended the neighborhood to have in it by selling that building as a commercial building.
Well, the zoning on it is C2, so.
No, it's not C2 right now.
On that.
PUD right now.
Oh, it's the PUD, okay. But it allows for 2 commercial buildings there.
Yeah, isn't that correct? That the PUD that's currently there, those are commercial regardless,
Correct.
correct?
Right. So, but what I hear him saying is that you've changed this now, and it's kind of like when you pass a bill and you don't know what's in the bill because nobody's read the bill. Once you change it and once you give this allowance, and I'm just gathering information. I haven't decided whether I'm for it or against it. I see both sides. But I do agree that once you let something go, then it has potential down the road to allow for something that would not be for the benefit of the neighborhood as far as height, as far as multifamily, that has higher floors that would, block views or have multiple family uses in that neighborhood that it's not designed for right now. So that, and I would like does anybody know whether or not that building, can they really say whether or not that building was intended to be taken down after the neighborhood was built out?
Would you like to answer that?
That building has been used as a business. It was used as a business. My father's secretary was there for years for him. It did house his equipment, but it was also used as a business. He sold all of the twin homes through that building. As far as, what the intended use and those things are, he sold the property to Colby. I've never owned that business. He sold that and also told Colby, this is a commercial piece. So Richard intended that to be a business. He used it as such.
So can you address the question that she had, that she thought it was going to be torn down, the building?
My name is Susan. Yes, Susan. Did someone tell you that when you bought there?
Just have my information gathering.
Gotcha, okay. Having, known about the building and the whole process of it from the very beginning, it was always intended as his business. What happened is my mother died. It was a brutal death. It was nothing. It drug out. His original plan for that area and why it was PUD, and I don't know if that's in your paperwork, he was going to build a high-rise in there. That got scrapped when my mother was diagnosed with terminal cancer. He then put a proposal in for twin homes, and that's how that got started. So the building that he used there, he was planning to continue. He was planning to do the twin homes. A couple years after my mother's death, he went to his high school reunion, his 50th, and met his high school sweetheart there, and they got married, and he bought a place in Florida, and he basically said, here's this chunk of land, this is your inheritance, I'm out.
So there you are.
And so this is where we are, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I can answer the question about the building.
I think you have to come.
You have to come forward, please.
I got a question, I guess, regarding that. So, and maybe I'm being insensitive or something, but what the intent of the building, whether it was supposed to be tore down, whether it was supposed to stay commercial or not, does that
Impact the,
decision that we are talking about or what we're looking at?
I don't think it makes a difference on the.
So I guess my thing is.
The building is there.
Exactly, so I'm thinking we need to move on from whether the intent of the building is
Exactly.
supposed to be this and that.
I could just answer this lady's question then, because I built it.
That's fine.
I live at 3006 Pheasant. That building was all built with 6-panel construction. We've got heated concrete floor in the office space and the main shop space. So, I mean, that building was never designed to be
Torn down.
quick direction and tore back down. So, the
Thank you.
building was there to stay and be real used to. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to case ZOC 10-2021?
My name's Jim Christensen. I live at 216 East 27th Street. It's at the very end of the cul-de-sac there. Except for having the sign up by the mailbox, I had no idea any of this was going on. Nobody's came to my door and talked to me about any of this. So this has kind of been an information gathering as well. I realize that commercial lot is commercial. My problem with that is, or my concern is that when they decide to sell it and move on, what moves in there then? Another bar and restaurant, you know, an oil field shop. So that's something that I would like them to consider. My biggest problem with this, I mean, I like the idea where they're going to put up more single unit homes. But 2906-2957 and 2904-2968 says 1 to 4 unit residential. Everything up there, people that live there own those buildings. You know, I don't know of anybody that rents out their home. And I am opposed to any kind of rental situation up there, a fourplex where the people that live there don't have any skin in the game. I own rentals myself, and it's no problem for somebody to walk away from.
May I interrupt for a second? When they talked earlier, the R3, which is 1 to 4 unit, was only going to cover the areas where the twin homes already are. So it wasn't going to be any new construction, only where they already are. I suppose they'd have to tear down a twin home to build a fourplex, but who knows what could happen. But only that area where those twin homes is the only area they wanted to make R3. With the places where the twin homes are not built but are scheduled to be built, change that to R2, which is single-family homes.
Okay, well, that gives me a little bit better feeling, because I don't want to have something stacked up on top of something else there.
Understandable.
And as far as the, like I say, the commercial properties, that's already in play. I like what I saw on the picture there. What happens in the future, that's a tough call.
You never know if you're going to like your new neighbor when they move in either, so.
I won't have any new neighbors where I'm at. It's all been locked up. But, you know, as far as that was my biggest concern, was building a apartment complex. I don't want to see anything like that. You know, somebody can walk away from $2,500 for their for their deposit. They don't have any skin in the game.
Thank you. Any questions? Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to case ZOC 10? Oh, yes, Wallace, I'm sorry.
Madam Chairman and Commissioners, this is, I don't think there was any kind of ill intent, but I do want to caution the commissioners that talking about people with skin in the game or potentially referring to income or renters versus owners could have implications regarding the Fair Housing Act. And considering people's income and ability to have property or not is not something you can base your zoning decision on.
No, agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So my name's Dan Davis. I live at 2802 Hogan Drive. I, like Mr. Farley, moved in the fall of 2011, so I've been there for a while. My house location is 4 houses down from 29th Street. I guess my concern would be, as you can see, my family with my children, it's a residential area. We moved into a residential area. I bought that house from Walter Becker, actually through Maxie Becker. The sales pitch at that time was up there in the ditch, as you guys are concerning. That was going to be a park at some time. And after speaking with the residents of the twin homes up there, they had also told us that the people in the twin homes were sold that the fact there was gonna be a park in that area put in by the Beckers, kind of like the one up in Stone Ridge, which we moved out of, which has never been developed also. That was promised us to be a park at that time. My concern, having 3 small children in that neighborhood, obviously I moved into a residential neighborhood. I'd be 4 houses down. My children ride their bikes in that neighborhood. There's lots of kids in that neighborhood. 29th Street's the big street in on that side. Coming north on Casper Mountain Road, right now there's no turn lane to make a right into that. You're slowing down from 50 to make a right into that neighborhood. People creep up on you. You're going to increase traffic on 29th. I know Mr. Frontiero has really nice plans, and I agree. He's presented them to me. He's a very nice gentleman. I like his building. It looks very nice, and he can do that without currently rezoning that to C2. My concern is once you rezone that to C2, there's no going back. So even though Mr. Frontiero says that this is what I want to do, if he decides to move in 3 years from Casper because an opportunity presents itself, whoever comes in and buys that property behind him can put in any of the things that are listed on your things for C2, such as homeless shelters, mini marts. The list goes on for C2. That's my concern. I am a Casper resident. My kids live here. I live here. I love my neighborhood. I like my neighbors. I like Mr. Farley. We talk all the time early in the morning. We're out walking about. But my concern is that commercial development. The zoning of R2, R3, I'm pretty okay with that. I'd like to see the neighborhood developed out. I didn't at any time think that neighborhood wasn't going to be developed, and I'm okay with the single-family homes. Obviously, I would like to see the theme continue, but Mr. Langdon, nobody can guarantee us that. A builder will build what's going to sell. I can tell you that. They're in it for the money, and I get that, and I'm okay with that. But at the same time, the commercial part of this, that package deal is what concerns me. Safety of the children, no going back. That's all I got for you. So I don't want to waste your time. But that's my concern as a resident in that neighborhood with children, is that increased traffic coming in and out of a commercial business and what can go forth. And I know Mr. Frontiero has promised me that this will only be it, but I can tell you what, if Mini Mart came in and offered me $2.5 million to put in a Mini Mart, I'd think pretty hard on it. Business is business, guys. Thank you for your time. Oh.
Sorry, can I
Name and,
sorry, I'm Christy Davis. I also live at 2802 Hogan Drive. I've heard several people speak about the traffic and how there would be less traffic from fewer single-family homes, and that's curious to me because I have a family of 5, and in a few years we'll have 5 drivers driving out of a single-family home, where if it was just my husband and I retired in a twin home, there would be 2, maybe 4 at most if you had 2 twin homes.
and your 3 children coming to visit you.
Yeah. Well, but at my home, the people who live across the street from us have children, and on any given night, there are several cars for each of their kids. Like, I don't see that a single-family home is going to reduce traffic. I get the numbers, like 2 versus 1, I get it, but really, families have a lot of vehicles, I think. So, thank you.
Any questions?
I have one for, sir, again, it's sometimes hard to hear over that plexiglass. But again, you're not really opposed to the development other than the rezoning of the general business?
Correct.
For general business?
Right now, under the current PUD, Mr. Frontiero can do it, can put in a proposed structure. It's what comes in the future. And I know that intent is great, but nothing guarantees the future. And once you guys rezone that, any future owner can come in. I can buy that. He splits town. I can buy it from him, and I can put in a mini mart because I'll do it. It's mine. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's Casper. I mean, I've lived here a long time, and unfortunately, I've watched commercial developments go in, and it's sad that we don't zone better. We've got a really nice residential neighborhood that they sold us on, and then we put in a car dealership next to it. It makes no sense. I've never been anywhere else where we do things like that. And I don't see the resaleability. I can tell you right now as a homeowner, I wouldn't do that. So yeah, to answer your question, that's my concern, is that rezoning of C2 on that property. Because it allows the future owner, if he doesn't do it, it allows the future owner a lot of freedom. So, and you know all the things that fall under C2. All those things are possible. And it's already zoned that way. I don't have to come to you and ask about it. I just put it in.
You know, personally, I would think that you mentioned a mini mart or something like that. I don't use this talk. But I would think if something like that goes in, it should go up in Wyoming Boulevard.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's not enough homes in that area to support a mini mart or. I know he was just using that as an example.
Right, but I can put in a homeless shelter up there. If I get some federal government, money to put that in, little grant money, I can do it. Homeless shelters fall under that C2 property designation. There's a lot of things that fall under there, and I'm just using those things as examples, because those are all possibilities. Once you open up the door's wide open. And you're right, it may not be a mini mart, it may not be a great location for that. But what other thing can go in there? Because anything that falls under your C2 guidelines that are listed on, the commission rules, it's an open door. They're all possibilities. And that's what scares me as the future. If you can guarantee me that nobody's going to put that in, that's great. But right now it's not. And right now you do not need to change that in order to let Mr. Frontiero put in his current proposed structure. Once that's changed, there's no going back. That's my concern.
Thank you.
It's kind of funny, my years of being active in this county, I've heard, I bet I've heard 500 mini marts going in. I mean, over the years, people protested about particular, general business. But I understand.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you. I used to work for Mini Mart, so.
I love that we still call it mini.
It's not Mini Mart. It's been Loaf and Jug forever, but it is what it is.
Sorry.
Mr. Langdon, please.
In the current zoning, PUD, Walmart, mini marts can go in there right now.
I understand.
So the C2 is only a section. Only a section. Because that PUD is wide open to anything, including homeless areas. It can be. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to case ZOC 10-2021?
Commissioners, Stuart Adnep, 315 West First Street. I don't want to get too much into the weeds. We've been in the weeds quite a bit already, and so I'm not going to rehash a lot of that stuff.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I do share, as the largest landowner in this subdivision, I do share some of the concerns that Mr. Scavdall and Mr. Davis, the Davis family, have brought up regarding changing the zoning. And so I submitted a letter of opposition earlier this week. I'm hoping you guys had time to read that letter to make an informed decision. I did get a letter back from the city, a response from the city, and I did submit a rebuttal to that, so hopefully that's in that packet as well. So I do just want to point out a couple of small things. Mr. Frontiero did indicate that in his, when he got up here and spoke, that there was no HOA. There is an actual HOA in this subdivision. It's addressed in the covenants for the subdivision, so there is an HOA. One of my concerns, and it's been brought up, but I just want to make sure, a point of clarification, there are 8 more lots in the subdivision that are already platted as twin homes, but they're vacant. So I just wanted to make sure that if the zoning does change to an R3, that those 8 lots are not being picked up as an R3 due to some of those other concerns that were brought up about being a lot of other uses that are available under the R3. So just a point of clarification, just wondering on that. And that's really about it.
So these other lots that you're talking about that are already platted for twin homes, are they on Player?
Yes.
Which
no,
is
not Player, Palmer.
Palmer. So how many twin homes are on Palmer? Because I thought most of the twin homes were on Player. So there are twin homes. Okay.
So does the staff have an answer as to the proposed zoning? Does it just pick up the existing, or does the R3 also pick up the plats that are vacant but already platted as twin home lots?
The, Madam Chair, the zoning application, I do not have that in front of me. I would have to look, but the currently platted twin home lots are what I assumed at this point, but I can go back and look at the application and see what the actual lot numbers are. I do not have that information with me.
Okay, so I think we have, can you answer that question for us? Yes, please.
What he's talking about is there were actually, I'm paying water bills for those lots that were finished for that. Those do fall under the R3. The R2 zoning does not pick up until the end of that street.
Okay.
And also, just real quick, the covenants in the back nine are the exact same as the covenants in the 9 irons. So when you're talking about tall and, having, second stories, you can't have them in the 9 iron, in the back nine or the 9 irons.
So you already have covenants for the
There
back
are
nine?
covenants in there, yes, and they're the exact same. Mr. Becker put the same ones in there.
And they're not going to change if we do a zone change? The covenants, and
We would be willing, like we had said, to put even more if that would help make some, concerns. But as it stands right now, they are the same covenants as in both developments.
Does that suit you? Is that an answer that you're satisfied?
Well, I would disagree that they are the same. They're not the same because the 9 iron does not have an HOA, but the back nine does. So
The back nine HOA has been defunct. It has never been instituted. And that is all part of the PUD, as I understand it. I could be wrong, but the PUD requires an HOA. Without a PUD, there is no HOA requirement. That has never been actually installed to have an HOA.
but I don't have any more comments.
so I know from experience, because I live a place where we have covenants but no HOA, and it's difficult to enforce some of those things, but you can do it, depending on how egregious it is. Mr. Langdon?
Madam Commissioner, HOAs are only as strong as the HOA, only. In the Park Place where I live, the HOA's gone up, gone down, it's now solid. We have 5 members on the HOA. We dictate what the covenant says. We have a good, strong attorney to make sure that if you don't, there'll be a lien against your property, okay? So a good, strong HOA dictates strongly how the covenant should be broadcasted.
But there's no HOA presently in the back nine?
Not enforced. Not enforced.
Okay.
It could be activated, but I would hope it does. Because the covenants are only as strong as the HOA. Any questions regarding that from any of you commissioners?
Is that, Mr. Collins, is that right? I mean, I'm not doubting you, but what he just said about the covenants?
Madam Chair, since the city is not a party to any covenants in the city of Casper that I'm aware of, that we're definitely not experts at how covenants work or HOAs. I wouldn't feel comfortable answering that question.
I put together 5 covenants for subdivisions, and they have HOAs.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to case ZOC 1020-2021? There being no others to speak for or against this case, I now declare the public hearing closed and will entertain a motion to approve. Oh.
I'm sorry to interrupt again, Madam Chairman, but I believe our first speaker requested rebuttal.
Oh, that's right, rebuttal. Yes, let's have rebuttal.
Rebuttal is required under our code when requested.
Thank you.
For having me up again.
Sure.
This has actually been quite a large information gathering session for me as well. I learned a lot tonight. And honestly, a lot of the concerns, specifically the children, I have a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old. They spend a fair amount of time in our business riding bikes in the current place, and they spend time there working out, doing fun things, and to have kids in a safe neighborhood is of high priority. And so to hear Dan's concerns for that is actually really reassuring. I'm for that. So it's in our best interest as business owners in the neighborhood with kids to keep the neighborhood safe. And also that when they drive, that they learn to drive correctly so that my kids are safe, because they'll drive a lot later. But the growth of the neighborhood is definitely a factor, I think, for traffic and for that concern. It is, however, I feel inevitable based on either sort of the development and the case that Ms. Davis made about the kids learning to drive and growing, and that those houses have more cars. I think that's fair, you know. It's definitely inevitable. I think everybody's kids grow up and hopefully drive, and we can't guarantee whether the people who buy the twin homes will be of retirement age without kids who come to visit, like you'd mentioned, or if they're of child rearing age where the kids learn to drive and populate the neighborhood either way. I think they're all really good concerns, and I appreciate them. I think that there are some concerns with the broad uses of C2 for the future, and like you said, we don't know who our neighbors are going to be, and we may not like them either. While at the same time, there may be some opportunity to restrict by way of deed restriction on the C2, and we could do that. I have no interest in running a liquor store or a mini mart, to be honest. Although I do find them very useful in serving in the community at the same time, since I drive a gas-powered vehicle. But I think the concerns are fair, and there are probably some ways to go forward either way, whether it's to go down to C1 or even an OB zoning structure, or to put in some deeds of restriction. Stuart's actually been really great to communicate with. He offered to help me do that if that's a desire as well. So thank you for the time, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Langton?
Thank you again. In the middle of the development, where the low area is, that'll be common area, because it can't be developed. Okay? Like an open area.
So you're going to put a park in there?
Well, the city
It'll just be green space, yeah.
can do that. That's a common area. Okay? And I know the city doesn't have the funds to do that. I know that. Okay? Are there any comments? I mean, regarding this, I want to make sure it's real clear, about that.
Okay.
Mr. Latham?
Sir.
What I heard tonight from both sides, majority comments, was so many people are so interested in the general business on that southeast corner. Again, it might have been said, and I couldn't quite hear it through that glass. What's going to happen there? Do you have any plans for that general business? No. That corner?
Terry, that's,
Did you
he addressed that, yes, he did.
Did you say it at one time, what your plans are?
Yes, he did.
And would you say it again? Because I couldn't hear it. What is your plan?
Here's
for
the
that?
building, Terry. There's the building he's planning on, right.
I know there's one building up there now.
Well, look behind you and you'll see the other one.
Okay.
Mr. Winger.
And that is, what building, is that a clubhouse type of building, or what is?
The current building standing now is on the left.
I just want to be sure, I don't care who.
Yes, sir. No, so.
It's better to be sure than,
Okay.
no, okay.
So the left building is already there, and then the right building, you can see the rendering of there. Do you see that?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Yep, so
right here.
The two buildings built, yep. The left one will be used in its current state, right, as an office space and a shop space. And then the new building will be the PT insurance acupuncture.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So if we keep the PUD as in place, then you know, and you build your building regardless, if we, you know, you could still sell it in the future to Mini Mart
Right.
as is.
Yeah, because under the PUD, permitted uses for R1 all the way up to C2 are available for use. So, right, yeah, true.
Just to clarify that.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
For my clarification, you're just also talking about track F, right?
Yep.
Correct.
So just that small little section.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay, I see the line, I just wanted to double check because they were talking about somebody buys a property below and that's classified as a C2, they could build, but that wouldn't be a C2, it's just that section of track.
Just track F, correct.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
So we'll try this again. There being no others to speak for or against this case, I now declare the public hearing closed and will entertain a motion to approve and forward to council with a due pass recommendation, deny, or table case number ZOC 10-2021.
Madam? I approve for it to go forward.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Bates. Do I have a second? We have a second by Commissioner Wingerter. Do we have discussion?
That was approval?
For approval, yes. Do we have, yes, Commissioner Bates?
I do regarding some of it that was brought up, and that's why I brought up the track F is not that big of a property. And for it to be whatever it is, but a C2, I don't see an issue with it being a C2. You know, everybody always brings up the bad, that it could be a bar, or it could be a tattoo parlor, or it could be this, or it could be that. But it also can be something amazing, something that Casper hasn't even seen yet, that will improve and be great for kids or anybody of that aspect. It could be a daycare that parents in that area are desperately needing. So you can look at all the bad, but I look at the positive of what could potentially be there, what something amazing it could be. So I'm for that being changed to that. Bringing up the aspect of about being the street being busier and kids being careful with the kids riding their bikes. How many places, neighborhoods, have kids riding in the street and we don't hear anything bad happening? Quite a bit, the amount of neighborhoods we have. And the fact that they were looking at, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, they were looking at it going from 48 twin homes to 24 residential. Am I right there? So you're actually looking at 48 families, possibly, to only 24. To me, the mathematics shows traffic would be less with less houses and stuff than that there. So again, I sit there and I go, I would have to agree with it, changing it to C3 and C2. And know if this is gonna probably make people mad, please bear with me on this one. But as city council being on it and listening to what city council members have said and what city councils might say if this goes to them, if you didn't want somebody building something there that you did not want, you should have purchased the property. And I don't mean that to be a jerk, but that's what I've heard I've not said it, but I've heard it several times, that you didn't want something built there, you should have bought the property. And if you couldn't buy the property, somebody did, and they're gonna build on it. So, or you still have an opportunity to buy that property and build nothing on it, if I'm right. Even changing it. So, with all due respect, I understand the family, I understand everything, because I have a family of 5, or I am a family of 5, that lives in PV on Indian Paintbrush, super busy street. My kids were 3 when we moved there. One was 3, one was 5, one was 7. So I understand where everybody's coming from. But it's what happens, and ultimately, if this brings in more families to Casper, and it brings in people opportunity to open up a business, sorry, I can't say no to families coming in and businesses coming in, so I support it.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to say, whichever way this turns out tonight, if you don't agree with it, of course, you have the right to go to the city council. They're the ultimate decision makers as far as this goes. So, again, you can go to the city council and
Thank you.
appeal.
There being no further comments, we have a motion on the table in a second, so we can vote on that.
With all members voting aye, the motion passes.
Thank you. The last case this evening is a conditional use permit to allow manufacturing, storage, and distribution of metal products, jewelry, coins, bars on the northerly part of Lot 3 and all of Lot 4 Evergreen Business Park, currently the Star Tribune building, located at 170 Star Lane. Do we have a staff report?
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair. An application has been submitted for a conditional use permit to allow for the use of the existing Star Tribune building located at 170 Star Lane as a light industrial / manufacturing business in a C2 zoning district. The property is currently for sale, and a potential purchaser of the property would like to utilize it for manufacturing, storage, and distribution of precious metal products such as jewelry, coins, and bars. The C2 General Business Zoning District does not allow for light industrial uses without the approval of a conditional use permit by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Although long-term, the potential purchaser of the property has indicated that they may be interested in doing a zone change of the property. In the interim, and to facilitate the sale of the property, they are requesting approval of a conditional use permit. Surrounding land uses in the area are a mix of industrial and commercial / retail. The property is bordered by the Burlington Northern Railroad on the north, and by property zone C2 General Business on the south and west, and by property zone C4 Highway Business on the east. Access to the property is via Star Lane, a dead-end street fed from West First Street on the south. The property has significant available off-street parking available on the northeast and west portions of the property. Traffic generation for the proposed light industrial use should be comparable or less to the existing business and will not cause a noticeable increase in traffic congestion. Madam Chair, staff has not provided any recommended conditions on this conditional use permit. We received no public comments. We did provide 2 sample motions, one to approve and one to deny, if the commission would like to use those as a basis when they make their findings.
Thank you.
And I have 5 exhibits to enter. A is the conditional use permit application. B, map of the 300-foot notification zone. C, legal notice sent to the Star Tribune. D, notice of public hearing sent to the property owners within 300 feet. And E, memo to the chairperson and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. That concludes staff's report.
Thank you. We've lost Commissioner Bates. Okay. I now declare the public hearing open for consideration of case number PLN 20-C. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, the rules of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals who address the commission to approach the lectern, identify yourself, and state your address. Would the person representing case number CUP 20-2021 come forward and explain the application?
Josh Fair. I'm at 78.
Madam Chairman, may we take a few-minute recess to find out if Chairman Bates
Okay. Okay.
situation or other analysis that he's able to hear the entire testimony?
Okay. I'm sorry, but we are going to take a recess and see what's going on, okay? So have a seat.
I'll run out and find out real quick.
I appreciate that, Wallace.
Oh, we're taking 5?
We're taking 5 or
So we can go find Commissioner Bates.
10
He was
or...
here just a moment ago. Yeah.
I'm going to try that.
That's what I came in.
Why don't we take 5 minutes and I'll go get some water?
Go get some water. I've been...
Was it your, it was the tablet that was making that noise? I was like, is it in a drawer?
No, it was the alarm on the couch.
Yeah.
Oh, that was an interesting one, huh?
It took a while. Liz boiled it down.
Well, I think we've clarified a lot.
Yeah, it was so.
But I guess I don't understand why Minimart is such a bad neighbor. Why, I mean, I don't
I
understand
know,
that.
it's just such a good example of like, you wouldn't want to be right next door to one, but you think they're very convenient.
Yeah, but I want to, oh, I need milk, but let's drive all the way to
Well, I
Walmart.
live near Grant Street Grocery, so I just
See,
pay too much.
and I
for
live over
milk.
by the West Side Walmart. You know,
We need
so we
'em.
just run over to Walmart. My grandkids, they get $5 in their pocket, they're walking to Walmart.
You know who's gonna give Mini Mart some competition? Is Family Dollar.
Really?
They're growing, I see there's one going up
Well,
in,
like the check cashing places, we
there's
should,
one
that should
going
be our
up
example.
kitty corner from Mini Mart.
Yeah,
up there
or,
on-
or a adult bookstore. That
An
would be
adult
something you
bookstore.
wouldn't want in your neighborhood.
Yeah, right, you wouldn't want that.
But is
Well,
that on the
unless you
list?
like
Is that
adult
on the list,
books, you
though?
know?
I mean, it just depends on what you're into. But isn't that not
That's
on-
okay, we just like,
I'm so used to council that we just get up and we go. And it's not a big
well,
deal.
and we're like, okay.
So then I didn't realize, yeah. So
I'm
apologize.
gonna,
Next time I know.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna see. Yeah, the next time something contentious comes up, I'm just gonna go, excuse me,
Oh, I thought I could exit while he was going through.
and then we're gonna, okay, so here comes Chuck, and then we're going to, that's okay, that's okay. We should have probably had a bit of an intermission anyway after that,
My bad.
but I'm just trying to rush through things, and I,
Oh, I heard that, yeah, I saw the,
yes,
oh, I'm
I
sorry.
did remember this.
There's just.
I know what you're thinking.
Good information.
You know you're gonna miss it.
I think they kinda were like,
I'm not gonna laugh at this much when I'm gone.
But we had that happen.
You're not.
We, we're up in.
We should have.
you know,
Like the old days, huh?
But I had it written down on a little note in my purse to ask him, and then.
Following.
Yeah.
so if you drive down on Wyoming Boulevard to Eagle, there's that office complex right there. You know, they could turn that into anything they wanted, but it's already built as an office. So when you build a really nice building like that, you're not likely to turn a nice building like that into something horrible.
That's what I thought about that one over by Centennial that we did 2 months ago. You know, that he wanted to put,
A high-end liquor drive-through, yeah.
Maybe you can.
But immediately, the first thing they think of, and you know, here's the other thing. Somebody could move out next door to you and you could get a meth dealer to move in. So how do you control what's gonna happen next door to you? Unless you buy it. Like, which is, and I've always felt that that might be something, you know, if you don't want that there, buy it.
Yep.
I have this really crappy PUD down from my house. If I had known that was gonna go in, I would have got a second job to buy that property.
I bought a house that's with apartments right across the street from me. And so I never know whether people are really good. And my first year there, or no, it was like the 5th year I was there, a bunch of college students came in, was partying until 3, 4 in the morning, and my kids' bedrooms are right next to it. So what did I do? Went out and bought my kids drums, put them out there at 7 a.m. in the morning, and let them beat the crap out of them.
And you're
Guess
not
what?
breaking any city ordinance.
They moved. And you heard him say they bought them drums. You know their heads were pounded, not just from the drums too. It was great. It was, so, yeah, you just got outsmarted.
Yeah, I have neighbors 2 doors down that play their music loud.
Thank you. Exactly. I get tired of the neighborhood stuff.
Okay, we're ready. Now you can come up, identify yourself and state your address.
Josh Fair, 7895 East Softwind Drive, Scottsdale, Arizona, 85255. And I represent Glamis Capital. I'm the director, and we are in escrow on the building. Glamis Capital is actually the general partner for a company called Scottsdale Mint, and that's I'm the president of that company. So yes, we are looking to build what would be either a second site, could be a main site for us long-term here in this community. And we chose it based on a lot of different things. One of the things is, especially that whole highway is full of CNC manufacturing. That's what we do. Instead of using steel, copper, aluminum, we use gold and silver. So this site would be something a little bit different. There's not many of us in the world. Our company, we manufacture for about 20 foreign governments. So potentially we'd be making pound sterling for the Queen right here in town.
Sweet.
We don't do any chemicals like a refinery would. We just bring in the pure product. We operate very almost like a clean room environment. So we would see substantial upgrade to the building on the inside, and we also on the outside. So really not a lot of changes to the building itself. We're not going to have a yard. So visually it's going to be upgraded longer term. A very secure building. I think it was on the market for 2.5 years. Kind of a tough, all concrete building with not many windows. Perfect for a vault. So this location could potentially one day hold what would be in the billions of dollars of gold and silver. So we keep kind of a low profile. We're not a retail operation. About half of our business goes overseas. So we are looking for the possibility of utilizing the foreign trade zone as well, which is why this site is on the list and as a potential opportunity. So I'm excited to be here and potentially move my family here and other families here. So here to answer questions that you may have.
We got some new development going
I was
on.
going to say the same thing.
So, perfect. Let's talk about that one for a while. Yeah.
Any questions?
How many families, just a couple of you?
Yeah, I would probably envision that would move from Arizona here would probably be maybe about 20-ish. 20 to 25 would be, I haven't told them yet. So
Somewhere around
most likely this operation would be probably in the 50-ish employees. Is just I would say like in the short term of what we're kind of looking to do. We're going to be producing some jewelry for some of the big brands that you may know of. Not much is made in the U.S. anymore, and we're kind of doing the opposite. And just kind of working with it. I originally came from the mining industry, and Wyoming, while it may not be hard rock mining, is very similar. Obviously, coal, uranium. That's the world. I did corporate risk management for copper, gold, and silver companies for a number of years. Scottsdale Mint we're in our 13th year in business, and we've got a nice reputation, and I think there'd be less traffic coming in. It's pretty much just employees. a lot of UPS, FedEx, post office. We will keep them very, very busy. And then armored vehicles, armored semi-trucks would probably be going on the regular basis between Salt Lake City and here. So other than that, it would be a pretty low-key, kind of quiet. We don't plaster our name all over the place. Come and steal it, kind of a thing. Yeah, hopefully that sheds a little more color on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Commissioner Bates.
As they're saying, thank you, and really, thank you for looking at Wyoming, Casper, looking at the old Star Tribune. I've worked there, I've seen the building, I've walked through the entire building, and I can see what you're saying, I can vision what you're talking about and how great that building would be for you guys. So truly, thank you for letting Casper be part of your possible home.
Yeah, well, thank you. I think that's one of the many reasons that building kind of drew me in. It was the beacon, but regardless if something doesn't go right with the zoning change or whatever, I think, this still is, we have a few alternative sites. This one would be easy. It's something we could, let's start cleaning that building up right away. So the quicker we can close on that building, we're going to put things into motion, and so we're happy to have chosen Casper as the winner.
Nice.
Any other questions? You might incentivize your employees by buying them snow blowers when they move to Casper. They probably don't own them in Arizona.
Thankfully, I've got a lot of hunting fishermen type.
Oh, sweet.
So it's a nice mission. So they'll be at home.
Good,
That's
good.
awesome.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition? Well, I guess we have to first start with anyone wishing to speak in favor of.
Madam Chair, members of the Commission, Randy Hall, Broker One Real Estate, 550 North Poplar. I'm here on behalf of the co-applicant Lee Publications and the seller of the building. We enthusiastically support Mr. Fair's business coming to Casper, and I believe it'll be a unique and only type of business that we'll have here, and we certainly welcome any number of families that he'll be bringing. So.
Any questions?
Any questions of me?
Just Randy, did the fact that it has a railroad behind it and a spur line, did that help out promoting this business, or?
Oh, no.
I'm just curious.
Unless the rail line goes overseas.
I think it's great. It doesn't matter either way, I just care.
Concrete roof and the goofy, it's a hard building, but for something like for us, it'd be easy for us to customize versus another company that's like, what do we do? It's got no windows. Perfect.
I think it's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commission, my name is Justin Farley, 3511 Carmel Drive, Casper, Wyoming. I'm here on the behalf, I'm the CEO and president of Advanced Casper, the organization formerly known as CADA, and I am here to voice their support for this project. I believe it's a slam dunk for our community, and we should extend every welcome that we can. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Good evening, Pat Sweeney, 951 North Kimball. And I'm just here to add my personal support, but also as a state legislator in the House, we talk all the time about diversifying our economy and new businesses, and this is so exciting. As far as I'm concerned, a tremendous win, not only for Casper, but for Wyoming. And to actually utilize, and the gentleman brought it up, our international trade zone. It's also sitting inside an opportunity zone. If that, was so needed. So to finally really have a great win like this with your guidance and approval this evening, and then on to council's approval, this could be a really nice launching spot for our community in central Wyoming. So I ask for your favorable consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to case CUP 20-2021? There being no others to speak for or against this case, I now declare the public hearing closed and entertain a motion to approve, deny, or table case number CUP 20-2021. And let me reiterate that the sample motions are in your packet. If you wish to make a motion, I would suggest that you make the motion as indicated in the sample motion. There's one for approval and one to deny.
I did it last time.
I would note that the Planning and Zoning Commission has considered all relevant factors, including but not limited to those set forth in the Casper Municipal Code Section 17.12.240H, and find that the conditional use permit meets the two findings required by Casper Municipal Code Section 17.12.240G. On that basis, I would move to approve the case CUP 2021.
Thank you.
Everybody-
We have a second by Commissioner McIntosh.
Okay, that's fine.
Mouthful.
Do we have a discussion?
You want me to read something? Or?
No, no.
I seconded.
We've already got it seconded by Commissioner McIntosh, Terry.
Well, there was about 4 of us that seconded.
What's not to like about this, right?
Everybody's excited.
Can we vote on it? Yes, let's vote.
Davis?
And if I'm not correct, this does not go to city council. This is a done deal. So
With all members,
close on that.
with all members voting aye, the motion passes.
Yes. So, this concludes our public hearings for the evening. If there's anyone in the audience that wishes to discuss anything further, please come forward at this time. Nope, nobody wants to discuss anything. Do we have any communications from the commission? I might talk to you a little bit about, is this a good time for me to talk about the Casper Historic Preservation Commission?
Sure.
We had a meeting on June 14th, and Commissioner Davis and I were there, and they talked about the African American Cultural Resource Study that they're doing. The Grouse Mountain Environmental from Buffalo is doing the study. They're going to issue a press release. The Historic Society is going to issue a press release and put some contact information on the Facebook page. So if anybody has any information that they might want to impart for this study, they can do that on the Facebook page. We had Serve Wyoming there. They presented a Casper Freedom Trail map, which was kind of cool. That showed different places in Casper that where there were some indications regarding the Freedom Trail. And that did a lot of the research that Grouse Mountain Environmental, they said, you've done a lot of the research for us. It was kind of cool. We also have some voting going on for the Old Yellowstone District Awards. And the P&Z Commission update was poorly done, I have to tell you. But there wasn't anything to update them on, that's why. They talked about the ghost signs in Casper. There's a sign in Mills by the Hideaway where there used to be a grocery store, apparently, and there may have also been a hotel there. The signs are kind of all over the place. Then also, there was a field visit. They visited the Grant Street Grocery and the Bishop House. And we may want to visit John Haas's house on Beach and I think it's 5th or 6th in the very near future. The Evansville to the landfill road, remember that, guys? Well, that is done, and it's going to be mostly dirt. It's not really, I think the city of Casper is going to pave just a little bit of it, but for the most part, it's done. There is going to be a free day at Fort Casper on the 19th, which is Saturday. So it's free on that day. So there we go. And that's my update. Do we have any communications from the Community Development Director?
No report, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any communications from the Council Liaison? No report. Any other communications? There being no further business to conduct, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Wingeter, a second by Feth to adjourn. All in favor?
I thought there might be a paragraph that I had to read.
Kenneth, you want to stick around? Okay, you stay.
Is the pre-date June 19th or July 19th?
It's June
June
19th.
Okay.
Okay. Done deal.
I was just telling them over here that